smooching and stamping together, come check this technique out. You'll have fun. I'm Deb Keyes with Stampin' on the Hill. Thanks for joining me today. It is August 6th, and this month's technique is kissing. You got it, smooching, kissing, right? Anyway, let's just jump right down into it and show you how to do this kissing technique. All right, so I've got here a bunch of stuff. We're going to be using the Impressions Abloom bundle today. That is the bundle of the month. And I'm also going to be using a couple different ink colors, Pretty in Pink, Berry Burst, and Crushed Curry. I have to move these out of my way as I introduce them so that we can get a look at everything here on the table. All right. I also have Pretty in Pink. Nope, this is Bubble Bath. Sorry, Bubble Bath. Yep, this is Bubble Bath. This is Pretty in Pink, so that we all know. This is Bubble Bath. I'm going to have to go back and change my notes because I have it written down as Pretty in Pink, so I will definitely change that. So Bubble Bath, and we're going to be using this way today. So our overall card base is 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and it's scored at 5 1/2. So there, and then I also have a piece that is 5 1/4 by 4. So that's going to be for the inside. And I want to make sure I stamp on it first. So I've left it out. I also have some lemon lolly, some petunia pop. And if I bring this in, you can see I've tried to do pre-cut a lot of things so that it didn't take up too much time on the video. But so I've used old olive pieces. We will get to these leaves and the stem later. And I've also brought in some pecan pie for the centers of our flowers. And I've also brought in the Stylish Shapes banner. So the way I cut this, and I taped it together, but I had a bigger piece of basic white, and I cut the oval out, but then I also cut the banner at the same time because we're not going to be using the center. Let me show you how this works. So that's that. When you pull this apart, you actually get the frame, and we're going to be using the frame and the banner. So the rest of this we don't need. Put this aside. All right, so let's start with stamping. Let's teach you this kissing technique. So we're going to, I also brought in, let me just show you a couple different, we want some texture. So I brought in this particular stamp from the Textured Notes. We used this, I think, 2 months ago. That was our highlighted stamp set. And I brought in a couple of these as well. I think we're using this one and this one from the Elements of Text. So let me just, I've got both sides of my block here going. Let's use this one first. So we're going to do some crushed curry on lemon lolly. I'm trying to, and of course, in the instructions, if you get the instructions, I will have dimensions, paper pieces, sizes and stuff. I will have those on there, but for now, it kind of depends on what you're using. So let's see, crushed curry. You can use just a scrap if you will. And I'm going to be using, so I've got all 3 solid, maybe you can see them better on here. So I've got all 3 solid. So there's like a 2-step stamping. So there's lines to go inside plus a solid to go with all 3 of the flowers, and as well the centers of the flowers and the leaf. But so we're going to be using only the solid portions today. And I'm going to be using this thin daisy looking like one for this particular. Oh, shoot. Here I am doing it wrong already. All right. Let's stamp this off a second. I got so excited All right, so we're going to stamp. So the kissing technique is that you ink up the texture, okay? So the texture first, and then you bring in your solid stamp and you kiss that to, I'm trying to get it right in the center. You kiss it to there to pick the ink back up off of that and then stamp it. Can you see the texture now in the flower? So yeah, let's get some of this ink stamped off and off of here. I have my handy dandy chamois down here. Oh, we're gonna do, so that's that one. That's enough of the yellow for now. Actually, you know what? Let's just, while we've got this going, let's do the inside. I kind of like that flower. Let's use the yellow for something else. We'll use a berry burst flower. So we're going to do berry burst on petunia pop. So you'll notice that I'm trying to choose a little bit darker color of ink than the paper that I'm using, cardstock. So for this one, we're going to be using the smaller, the smallest, because I want it to get most of this on here. You can see that. So we'll ink this up. And then let's get this kissed onto here and then onto here. So you can barely see it. Once it's cut out, you'll see it better. And then we're also going to do this larger one from the Elements of Text. And I'm just going to ink up some of this. You may think I'm using a lot of ink for what we're really gathering. So the words are going this way, okay? So I want to make sure that I'm lining my flower up kind of the way I think I'm going to want it in my project. So kiss that one and stamp it down here. So there you have the little words. So it's adding some texture. All right, this is where all the kissing comes in here. We're also going to, let me clean these stamps up a minute before I end up getting my, oh, I was going to use this one, wasn't I? Let's do this again, because I wanted one of these on the inside. All right. And this one. There we go. There's that. And then I think that's enough for the inside right now. But move these out of the way. Okay, so what else was I going to do? Oh, I need to put a, let's use the crushed curry as the center. And this one, there's a smaller one and a larger one. So let's use, the other ones we're going to cut out. And I'm going to be putting an actual cutout of the center in the flowers that we cut out. So I'm not going to do that one right now, but this one I wanted to make sure I got a little center in there. I probably could have stamped that up. I'm going to also bring in, move this aside for now, and bring in the bubble bath. And again, I'm using a little bit darker tone ink than the bubble bath. And we're just going to randomly stamp these centers to kind of make a background. Now, you know, when you are doing this, you should be making it kind of random. And I always like to go in, you should be turning it too as I go. I like to go in like a triangle. So if you can kind of see my triangles going on here, and it doesn't have to be perfect. If it's perfect, it really looks kind of, where was I? It looks too perfect, and then it doesn't look random anymore, right? Let's move these. Let's get a little on the corner here and a little on the corner there. And I think we need something right here too. All right. Then we're going to come in with the smaller of, and then I'm going to fill these in a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's do that one again though. Again, you see I'm kind of going off the edges of the paper. That gives it a more natural, less perfect look, because that's really what stamping is all about. Is it's not about the perfection. It's about the realness of it. Okay. So now I've got a cute little background going on. What else? Let's see here. I have my label. Oh, what was I going to write? Oh, I was going to write thanks on the label. So we could do that with, let's get these off of here. Line this up. Can you see the thanks right here? I might as well do all the stamping at the same time. Thanks. And that's going to go on my label here. And I think I want to do that in the Berry Burst. So let's, again, gently tapping. If you squish it down in there, it gets ink everywhere. So lining this up straight, straight down, straight back up, stamping. And then we're going to kind of just put all this together. We could put like I appreciate you or something in here. That's one of the sentiments inside here too. Or I could say for being there, whatever. I'm not going to put anything words wise on the inside right now because I don't know what I'm going to use this card for yet. So until I know, I'm going to grab the dies now, and I'm going to line these up on here, and I will be right back with the finished product. Oh, let me show you something quick. I noticed that, let me show you it on here a little bit. So here's a little tip. There's like this big gap right here, and then there's like this long flower here. Each one of these has like a flat edge. This one I think is the flat edge here. These are just characteristics that I notice that when I try to line the die up with it, so there's this big valley right here and the big valley right here, it makes it easier to find the alignment because of those imperfections in the flower. So I just wanted to point that out before I run and go do this. So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so now I have these cut out. I'm going to bring in the glue, and I'm going to add the glue to the center. You'll notice this one didn't come out perfect, but that's okay. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just going to add a little glue to the center of. And did you notice my glue started working the first time? This is always a challenge for me, as many of you know, but it was actually running today. I was very excited, and I haven't used this glue since yesterday. Now, you can kind of see it, the glue's poking through here, but it'll dry clear, so we'll be good with that. And then, oops, we don't want this in the way. So now we're going to take our frame that we did, and I'm just going to kind of dot the glue on here a little bit. Little bits. You don't have to make sure it's really not going anywhere. As long as you get a couple of points together with it, that will be fine. And this is going to go right on here. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in one stem, and I think we're going to put the yellow one in the center. So I think I'm just going to trim this off. Oops, because I don't want it to go too far under here. And this is going to be a little bit covered up too. So I'm not real worried if it's just a little bit too short. See if I can hold it while I glue it though. All right. My finger's stuck in my glue container. All right, so this is going to go like this. And I think I'm just going to glue these down flat. You could definitely use dimensionals for this if you wish. Let's see, how about like that? And let's see, what else are we doing here? You know, if you put your, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's put this one on here first. If you make everything flat, there's not a lot of, it's I don't know, kind of flat, I guess. It's a good way to put it. And if you're not a person who likes to do things flat like that and have everything not be a little bit dimensionaled, it goes through the mail a lot easier. But I also really like the idea of using some dimensionals. Here's another tip. Don't throw away those outside edges of your dimensionals. I just cut them up, and this is kind of what this one looks like right now, but I cut them up and then I just reuse them, all the edges. Sometimes those edges actually fit. Oops, this one's a little bit too long. Sometimes those edges actually fit a little bit better on certain things than a full one. So put these away, put this on here. And then we're going to fill this in. I want dimensionals on the back of here too. So I've got a big one, and this is going to be enough. And then we'll fill in with the leaves that I have pre-cut as well. Let's see. I think I wanted it this way. Yep. There. And the leaves. Let's go. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on a couple of points here, and I'm going to tuck these in. So here and here. Did you see the I'll show you on the next one. These are very cool, the way these leaves are, because the one die cuts them so that it gives some texture. Kind of like the centers. There's a texture to the centers as well. Let's put one going down this way. We want to make sure that it stays within our card frame. So I cut out 5 leaves. You can do as many as you like. Let's see where else. Oops. Grab one under here. And hence why I kind of only put the glue in the center of this, so I still have the option to get underneath it. All right. And there you have our project with the kissing technique. Forgot to glue this down, but I certainly will. There you go. Fun, huh? All right. Let's come back to the center here. So thanks for watching. If you want the measurements, I will have them on my blog. I will put a link to the blog in the description, and I'll give you the measurements. If you want full instructions, I send those out with my monthly email. So at the beginning of every month, you get the prior month's projects. So this will be one of them. And so, yeah, sign up for the email before the end of the month, this month, August, and they'll be coming out the beginning of September. You'll get the full instruction sheet. Let's see, what else? I'd love it if you give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my YouTube channel if that's where you're watching me from. That would be great. It helps me bring more of my creations to everyone. And until next time, thanks for watching.